We're on to Prism Baseball. First time we've opened Prism Baseball. Yeah. Oh boy. 12 cards per pack, 12 packs per box, and we're looking for 3 autos. We have Keegan Aiken, RC of the Baltimore Orioles, headed to Brooks. Right there, followed by Tim Anderson of the Chicago White Sox. Then we have a Anthony Rizzo of the Cubs, followed up by an Estevan Florial, RC of the New York Yankees, heading to Robert. Then we have Ryan Mountcastle, RC of the Baltimore Orioles, going to Brooks, followed up by George Brett of the Kansas City Royals to Kevin, Sammy Sosa of the Chicago Cubs. Then we have a old school Ken Griffey Jr. insert right there of the Seattle Mariners, headed to Kevin. Following that up with JT Realmuto of Philadelphia. And then we're going to have a blue old school, and that is Ralph Kiner. Ralph Kiner of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and that is 24 out of 60 with the nice blue wave old school right there. Following that up, we're going to have a red Keegan Aiken, the red Keegan Aiken RC of the Baltimore Orioles, headed to Brooks, followed by an emergent Bobby Witt Jr. of the Kansas City Royals, going to Kevin. Isaac Paredes, RC of the Detroit Tigers, going to Kevin. Following that up with Randy Arozarena of the Tampa Bay Rays, Craig Biggio of the Astros, Jonathan Stever of the Chicago White Sox, going to Kevin. Then we have Jonathan India of the Cincinnati Reds, headed to Cynthia, RC, followed by Cody Whitley of the St. Louis Cardinals, RC, going to Rob. Then we have Josh Hader of the Milwaukee Brewers, Andres Jimenez, RC of the Cleveland Guardians, heading to Kevin, followed up by Raymond Laureano, Fearless of the Oakland Athletics, going to Robert. Following that up with Jorge Oña, RC of the San Diego Padres, and then a blue Prism, Isaac Paredes, RC of the Detroit Tigers, headed to Kevin. And then we have a stargazing Xander Bogaerts of the Boston Red Sox, and that is going to be going to Cynthia. Jesus Luzardo of the A's, Jeff Bagwell of Houston, Kyle Hendricks of the Cubs. Then we have Trevor Larnach of the Minnesota Twins, RC, headed to Kevin. Followed up by Daz Cameron of the Detroit Tigers, RC, to Kevin as well. We have Nelson Cruz of Minnesota, Bo Bichette of Toronto, a Mike Trout, and there we go. What a pretty card right there. And that is of the Los Angeles Angels, and that is going to Kevin. Nice stained glass right there. Followed by Clayton Kershaw of the Dodgers. And then we have a Disco Kirby Puckett of the Minnesota Twins, and that's 64 out of 75 right there, heading to Kevin. Following that up with a red Whit Merrifield of the Kansas City Royals, going to Kevin as well. And then a Fireworks Mike Trout of the Angels, headed to Kevin. We have Frank Thomas of the White Sox, followed up by a Pavin Smith RC of the Arizona Diamondbacks. It is not numbered. Not numbered. Of the Arizona Diamondbacks going to Cynthia, and then Jorge Guzman of the Miami Marlins going to David. Followed by Edward Kalina of the Minnesota Twins going to Kevin. Followed by Sam Huff of the Texas Rangers RC headed to Gavin. Wow, lots of rookies in this one. Mike Trout of the Angels, followed by Jahmai Jones RC of the Baltimore Ravens. And then we have an Illumination Vlad Guerrero Jr. Illumination of the Toronto Blue Jays, and that is going to Kevin as well. Followed up by Yordan Alvarez of the Houston Astros. Then we have a silver Spencer Howard RC of the Philadelphia Phillies headed to Kevin. And then a rookie class Alex Kirilloff of the Minnesota Twins heading to Kevin as well. And here we go. Looks like our first auto. And that is going to be an Adonis Medina rookie autographs of the Philadelphia Phillies heading to Kevin. Yeah, looks like the numbers for the stained glass start at like out of 199, and then obviously go down to, there's 3 different ones of one you can get from the stained glass in the Panini Prism Basketball. We have Anderson Tejada RC of the Texas Rangers going to Gavin. Following that up with a Rafael Devers of the Boston Red Sox, a Tristan McKenzie RC of the Cleveland Guardians to Kevin. Then we have Ian Anderson of the Atlanta Braves going to Kevin as well. Following that up with Carlos Correa of the Houston Astros, Bryce Harper of the Phillies, Chris Paddock of the Padres, Luis Alexander Basabe of the San Francisco Giants going to Christopher. A Fearless RC, Dylan Carlson of the St. Louis Cardinals headed to Rob. Kristen Yelich of the Milwaukee Brewers, followed by a blue Randy Arozarena of the Tampa Bay Rays headed to Jake right there. And then we have an Andres Jimenez rookie class of the Cleveland Guardians, and that is going to Kevin. Harry, you're putting a lot of pressure on me to make these things happen for you. I'll do my best, though. Jim Thome of Cleveland, following that up with an Andre I Don't Want No Scrubs of the Houston Astros going to Kevin as well. He must be hanging out the passenger side of his best friend's ride. Followed by Braylon Marquez of the Chicago Cubs going to Brooks. Then we have Larry Walker of the Rockies, Fernando Tatis of the Padres, Jeff McNeil of the Mets, Yu Darvish of the Padres, followed by an old school Harmon Killebrew of the Minnesota Twins going to Kevin. Following that up with Jose Abreu of the Cubs, and then we're going to have a Sixto Sanchez 100 out of 100 of the Miami Marlins going to David. With the neon... No, that's not that one. Not a bad Sixto Sanchez hit right there. Followed by a Yarmin Mercedes of the Chicago White Sox going to Kevin right there. And then we have a slugger, Eloy Jimenez, the slugger of the Chicago White Sox. Next up, we have Zach Minkistry of RC of the Los Angeles Dodgers going to Brooks, followed by Luis Diaz of the Miami Marlins headed to David. Then we have Luis Campusano of the San Diego Padres headed to Kevin, followed by a Spencer Howard RC of the Phillies, and that's going to Kevin. Then we have Gleyber Torres of the Yankees, followed up by Ricky Henderson of the Athletics, Kyle Cody of the Texas Rangers going to Gavin, a fearless Ketel Marte of the Arizona Diamondbacks headed to Cynthia. Then we have Dean Kremer of the Baltimore Orioles, and that is going to Brooks. Following that up with a silver Bandon Bielek of the Houston Astros RC heading to Kevin. And then we have a championship stage, Jake Arrieta of the Chicago Cubs, and that is going to Brooke. A nice silver championship stage right there. And then our auto is going to be a rookie autographs, Zach McKistry, and that is going to be out of 75 of the Los Angeles Dodgers headed to Brooks. Wow, this rookie rundown is going to really be something else. Trey Turner of the Nationals, Jared Kelenic of the Seattle Mariners going to Kevin, followed up by Austin Meadows of the Tampa Bay Rays, Dalton Jeffers RC of the Oakland Athletics. Then we have Daniel Lynch and that is going to be headed to Robert, followed by Daniel Lynch of the Kansas City Royals going to Kevin, Brandon Bielek of the Houston Astros headed to Kevin, following that up by Mitchell White of the Los Angeles Dodgers going to Brooks. Then we have Vlad Guerrero of the Toronto Blue Jays, and that is headed to Kevin as well, followed by an Illumination Freddie Freeman of the Atlanta Braves going to Kevin, and then we're going to have a Seth Romeo rookie of the Washington Nationals to Chris, followed by a blue Jim Thome of the Cleveland Guardians heading to Kevin, and then we have the championship stage, Chris Bryant of the Chicago Cubs going to Brooks. Alex Verdugo of the Red Sox, followed by Jared Olivia of the Pittsburgh Pirates headed to Kevin. Then we have Ryan Castellani of the Colorado Rockies going to Cynthia, followed by Jack Morris of the Minnesota Twins, then a Christian Pache RC of the Atlanta Braves going to Kevin, followed up by Will Crow of the Pittsburgh Pirates headed to Kevin as well. Mike Piazza of the Mets, and that is going to be heading to Robert, followed by an Illumination Buster Posey of the San Francisco Giants going to Chris. Chris, welcome to BreakTraders, followed by Will Craig RC of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and then we're going to have a nice Jake Cronenworth out of 149 RC of the San Diego Padres headed to Kevin. Following that up with a red Rafael Marchand of the Philadelphia Phillies RC going to Kevin as well, and then a Lumber Inc. That's Mike Yastrzemski of the San Francisco Giants going to Chris. And here we go, 3 packs left in this break. Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Braves, Zach Gallen of the Diamondbacks, Trevor Story of the Rockies, Francisco Lindor of the Mets, a Taylor Jones RC of the Houston Astros headed to Kevin, followed by Randy Johnson of the Diamondbacks, a Chris Bubik RC of the Kansas City Royals going to Kevin as well, followed by a fearless Chris Bryant of the Chicago Cubs going to Brooks. Then we have Chipper Jones of the Atlanta Braves, followed by a Nick Neidert RC of the Miami Marlins, and that's a silver, and that is going to David. Following that up with a silver Luis Campusano RC, and then a stargazing, and that's not Justin, but that is Shane Bieber. Right there. Alrighty, 2 packs left in this break. Blake Snell of the Padres and Alex Manoah of the Toronto Blue Jays RC going to Kevin, followed by Tucker Davidson of the Braves headed to Kevin, Nolan Arenado of the Cardinals, Mike Yastrzemski of the Giants, Robert Yount of the Milwaukee Brewers, followed by a Brady Singer RC of the Kansas City Royals heading to Kevin. Then we have Pete Alonso of the Mets, a old school Babe Ruth of the New York Yankees going to Robert. Then we have Kwang Hyun Kim of the Cardinals, a blue Yona Heim of the Texas Rangers RC to Gavin. Then we have a rookie class Kohai Ariara of the Texas Rangers headed to Gavin as well. And we're on to our last pack. Luis Garcia of the Houston Astros RC going to Kevin. Andrew Vaughn of the White Sox headed to Kevin as well. Debbie Garcia of the New York Yanks going to Robert. Followed by Bobby Dalbec of the Boston Red Sox headed to Cynthia. Then we have Corbin Brunez of the Brewers, followed by George Springer of the Blue Jays. Jonah Heim of the Texas Rangers RC going to Gavin, followed by a Fearless Whit Merrifield of the Kansas City Royals. Then we have Aristides Aquino of the Cincinnati Reds to Cynthia, followed by a blue Dalton Varsho at a 199 RC of the Arizona Diamondbacks going to Cynthia, a red Kettle Marte of the Diamondbacks going to Cynthia as well, and then a emergent Heliot Ramos of the San Francisco Giants going to Christopher. Alrighty, and with that we are done opening packs, and now we will run down some rookies. We have the Dalton Varsho RC of the Diamondbacks, Jonah Heim of the Rangers, Bobby Dalbec of the Red Sox, Debbie Garcia of the Yanks, Andrew Vaughn of the White Sox, Luis Garcia of Houston, a rookie class Kohai Arihara of the Texas Rangers, a blue Jonah Heim of the Rangers, Brady Singer of Kansas City, Tucker Davidson of Atlanta, Alex Manoah of Toronto, a silver Luis Campusano of the Padres, Chris Bubik of the Kansas City Royals, Taylor Jones of Houston, a red Rafael Marchand of the Phillies, Will Craig of Pittsburgh, Will Crow of Pittsburgh, Christian Pache of the Braves, Ryan Castellani of Colorado, Jared Olivia of Pittsburgh, Seth Romeo of Washington, Mitchell White of the Dodgers, followed by Brandon Bielik of Houston, Daniel Lynch of Kansas City, Dalton Jeffries of Oakland, Jared Kelenic of the Mariners, a silver Brandon Bielik of Houston, followed by Dean Kremer of Baltimore, Kyle Cody of the Rangers, Spencer Howard of the Philadelphia Phillies, Luis Campusano of the Padres, Lynn Diaz of the Marlins, Zach McKinstry of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Yerman Mercedes of the Cubs, this nice Sixto Sanchez out of 100 of the Marlins, Braylon Marquez of the Cubs. Here we go. We have Andre Scrub of Houston, the rookie class Andres Jimenez of the Cleveland Guardians, the fearless Dylan Carlson of St. Louis, Luis Alexander Basabe of the Giants, Ian Anderson of Atlanta, Tristan McKenzie of Cleveland, Anderson Tejada of Texas, Alex Kirilloff rookie class of the Twins, a silver Spencer Howard of the Phillies, Jahmai Jones of Baltimore, Sam Huff of Texas, Edward Kleina of Minnesota, Jorge Guzman of Miami, Pevin Smith of Arizona, Daz Cameron of Detroit, Trevor Larnach of Minnesota, a blue Isaac Paredes of the Detroit Tigers, Jorge Oña of the Padres, Andres Jimenez of Cleveland, Cody Whitley of the Cardinals, followed by Jonathan India of Cincinnati, Jonathan Staver of Chicago, Isaac Paredes of Detroit, a red Keegan Aitken of Baltimore, Ryan Mountcastle of Baltimore, Esteban Florio of the Yanks, and Keegan Aitken of the Orioles. And now on to our featured cards. First, we have the out of 149 Jake Cronenworth of the Padres and the stained glass Mike Trout of the Los Angeles Angels. And then we've got some autos. Our 2 non-numbered autos, we have the base Adonis Medina, the silver Nick Nieder, and then the out of 75, Zach McKinstry. Adonis Medina of the Phillies going to Kevin. Zach McKinstry of the Los Angeles Dodgers headed to Brooks. And Nick Nieder of the Miami Marlins headed to David. And with that, we are done with break 1245. We'll be right back from BT Field with some certified football.